Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. A little bit of a different video today, guys. I'm going to be dealing with this. It's a Lenovo. It says it has the i3 inside of here. Some of these came with the i3, some came with i5, and some came with i7s. And then I think some of them actually even came with the older Pentiums. But this is the Lenovo ThinkCentre M73, I believe, and this one is the 10AY model. Well, there's a little bit more stuff here, and you can see the specs on that. Well, not really the specs, basically just the model and stuff like that. So this belongs to a friend of mine. He has asked that I basically just reinstall Windows on it, and we're going to do that for him. But first, we're going to take this thing apart, and we're going to see if we can't just clean it up a little bit, make sure that there's not a lot of dust and debris in there. This is an older machine, and I believe these have been discontinued by Lenovo. But really, if you're just doing basic stuff with it, they're really not that bad. If you're just doing web surfing, email checking, and for him, he's a ham radio operator like I am, and he's basically just going to use it for running Chirp, which is a programming software for ham radio. So he's just going to be doing stuff like that on it. So it'll work out fine. On the back I/O here, we have your power. Got a HDMI. Got a couple USBs there. And the old VGA port. You got an Ethernet port. And you've got another USB here. And this here is actually for a Wi-Fi antenna. So you can actually screw a Wi-Fi antenna onto that. So to get this thing apart, we're going to just remove one screw here. You don't really need many tools for this job. I've got my handy IFixIt Kit. Not sponsored by iFixit. I just happen to like the kit. And this is the tip that I'm using for this today. We're going to repaste this. So I've just got some basic generic thermal paste here. Which does fine. I've actually done some testing and really didn't see any big differences. And for what he's going to be using this machine for, really not that big of a deal. And I've got some of these, some alcohol prep pads, so we can get the old paste off of the CPU and stuff like that. I'll show you another tool as we go, but let's wait till we get to that point. So to start, this is actually pretty easy to take apart, guys. You got one screw in the back here. So let's just undo that. And we'll take that screw and move it aside. And then from here, it's actually pretty easy. One would think that you just grab the top and this comes back. That's actually not the case, because this is actually a part of that. So you actually just push forward, just like that. And then you just kind of lift up and you move that aside. So right off the bat, we're seeing that it's an old mechanical drive, which is unfortunate, but if it still works, it works. If I had another one, I would just go ahead and upgrade it, but I do not. As a lot of you know, the old mechanical drives are just a lot slower, and you can actually get a lot of good performance out of a system just by throwing a solid state in there. This is way too old to accept an NVMe, so we won't even think about that. So what I want to do, we want to remove the fan and heatsink because the processor is under this heatsink here. And from prior experience with these, I know that these are pretty easy. So you start with the fan. You got 3 screws. You got one here, you got one here, you got one here. And so let's start by removing this. Then you've got your fan power, which plugs in right here. We don't really need to unplug that, because we can just kind of set it aside over here. So let's go ahead and remove these screws. And get them loosened anyway. I'm not sure any of them are going to just come out of there. Most of the time they just kind of stay where they need to stay. Alright, let's see if that is enough to pull this thing out. Let's pop those off. And then just pull it back, yep, just like so. Then we'll just flip it upside down and move it to the side here. It's like some dust has gotten in there. Looks like there might be some blockage here. In fact, let me pick this up. Yeah, it looks like you got a lot of fan blockage, but we will take care of that once we get this off of here. Now to take this heat sink off, here's your heat sink and here's your heat pipe that goes out to the vent. So this fan will spin and it will blow the hot air out of the system through here. But it's probably having a hard time doing that because this vent is clogged. So to remove the heat sink, there are 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to remove one at a time. And I don't believe these come out either. There's actually a little spring in there. So you just kind of loosen them. Now when we put these back on, we'll put it on in a diagonal fashion. Like we'll tighten one down a little bit and then do one diagonal to that and vice versa. Kind of like when you put on a car tire. And the reason for that is you don't want to crank down on one side so much that the other side can't be secured down. Now this, if you see over here to the right, there is a plug for that too. But it might be easier to remove this first. Yep. And then just grab that little plug. So as you see again, this heatsink is fully plugged, so there is no air getting through that thing. So you see some of the old paste here, old paste there. So I'm just going to take this alcohol prep pad, one of them, open that up. Just kind of use your finger and clean it up here. Get it nice and shiny. And just double it over. Clean up more of the stuff around it. And I'm sure it goes without saying, guys shouldn't really use water or anything like that. Just get some alcohol prep pads. If you don't have any prep pads but you have alcohol, get yourself some Q-tips or just some cotton balls or something like that. I'm actually going to just run over it one more time because it looks like there's a little residue there. Okay, and then we can do the same here. And you just want to make sure that you're not leaving any of the old crumbs from the old paste in there. And that should do pretty good, actually. So now I'm going to show you my other tool, which is really cool. I'm going to put this aside real quick. Now this tool, every good techie needs to have one. This is the DataVac Electric Dust Buster. No more buying canned air. It just plugs right in to an AC outlet, and you can kind of blow things out. Now I'm not going to do it directly on the fan. I don't want to get that fan spinning, but I'll just move it, kick it on. And kind of blow it out that way. Now there is a link to that DataVac Duster in the description below, in case you'd like to pick one up. They are a little bit spendy, but they're worth every penny, in my opinion. I'm just getting another prep pad to clean this thing off. Let's clean off a little bit in there. Just kind of do what we can in here. Perfect. Look at all that gunk that came off of there. Okay. So now I'm actually going to take the DataVac outside and blow this out. This little plugged vent, because I don't want to do that in here. So I will be right back. Okay guys, we are back, and as you can see, that heatsink is nice and clean. You can actually see through that thing now, which is good. Also guys, I forgot to mention this part here, the part that when I was taking this apart and I said there's a plug here, this is just for a PC speaker. It has nothing to do with the heatsink itself. There is no power needed for the heatsink. So that is just a PC speaker, and it's just attached to this. It's part of the whole small form factor thing. So with that being said, our next step here, Let me just open this little thing of thermal paste. And since I touched it, I don't like to touch those. Since I touched it, I'm going to wipe my fingerprints off of there. Blow that a little bit. Watch that dissipate off of there. There we go. Let's apply a little thermal paste. So the way you do this, there's many different opinions on how you do it and what you do. But you really just do, and I've always done this, you just do basically, they say, the size of a pea right in the middle. And that is all you need. And you don't put any on this, on the heatsink or anything. Excuse me, just goes right on the processor. So let's go ahead and plug this back in. My tiny fingers can get in there. Okay guys, finally got that plugged back in. Didn't want to bore you with the details. So anyway, once that's plugged back in, make sure that that wire's not going under the heatsink. And you just kind of slide this back into place here. And you'll see these screws need to line up with these holes over here. So I'll just slide it forward. And then it's kind of in place there. Perfect. Let's tuck that wire in. And let's get this tightened up. So again, we'll do it diagonally. You kind of turn one a little bit. And diagonally get that screw started in there. And then so on and so forth. All right, that is snugged back up. So let's go ahead and get our fan back on. Just slide that into place. Make sure those holes lined up. And we'll do this all over again. You really don't have to do these in a diagonal fashion. I just do. I guess good practice. All right, so we are good to go. Fan is back in place. There's new thermal paste on the processor under that heatsink. And the gunk has been cleaned out of the vent there. So now, let's get this back together. So it goes back together, just the opposite. Slide that on. Slide this back. And then let's just pop that screw back in there. Now guys, that is it as far as the internals. Like I said, if I had a solid state, I would just upgrade it. I unfortunately don't have an extra, but now we're going to get to what it came to me for, is reinstalling Windows on this. So I might show you a little bit of that. Either way, I'm going to show you the end product, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Well, guys, that didn't quite work out. This is what I got upon trying to install Windows. I chose what partition. Actually, there was a partition there. I went ahead and wiped that out and selected the partition I wanted to install to, which was the 500 gig partition, and hit next. And after just a little over a minute, this is what I got. So it's saying that this disk may be failing soon. So what we're going to do, I am going to remove the hard drive from that little computer, and I'm going to connect it to one of my hard drive cradles. It's a little sink that plugs in, and we're going to run a test on it. So let's do that now. Okay guys, so I've got this up. This is our crystal disk info, and I'm already seeing this right here. I'm afraid to click on that. But I do see over here our 500 gig partition. Click on it and it is empty, which would make sense because I formatted it before I started this recording. So it's actually seeing the drive, and that's a good sign. But let's click on this. And this is what we get. I'm going to go ahead and close that. So it is indicating that this drive is definitely bad. Usually it even gives like a, a percentage, but no, this is bold red, says bad. What's that say? Bad, reallocated sectors count, current pending sector count 360. So yeah, guys, this drive is dead.
Dead?
Dead?
Yeah, like rigor mortis, habeas corpus.
It's bad. It's not dead because you can put some data on it, but it's just not doing its thing. It has a total of 60,000, almost 61,000 power on hours. Power on count is 151. That's not that bad. But somebody like me, like this wasn't my drive, but I leave my computer on all the time. So you can have a low power on count, but still have high hours like that. So maybe I'll do another video to see if I can save this drive, so to speak. But we're going to have to move to plan B on this. So stay tuned on this. All right, guys, so here is where we are at. Here is the drive. This is the dead one that came out of here. I went ahead, obviously I removed it because I was able to run it through Crystal Disk Info, find out it was dead. And so this just kind of went here. There's some screws that go on the underside to secure that in there. They're up here. I have removed them. So in the meantime, what I have done, completely dead drive. And like I told you guys earlier in this video, I wished I had a solid state to replace it with. Well, guess what? Voila. I went out and got this brand new PNY 500 gig. That's what the old drive was a 500 gig PNY. Link is down in the description below. Very good drives. Don't cost much at all. So I'm going to give my friend a free upgrade. He doesn't know this yet, but yes, he's getting this free upgrade because I want to make sure he has a good running computer. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well just get a solid state. So let's get this installed back in here. So I'm just going to drop it in here, line it up as so, a little bit of a tight fit, but those screws line up pretty good. So let me pop these in here, get those started. Sorry, I think I might have bumped the camera there a little bit. Let me bring these over here. Okay. Now let me get these secured down. I'm just going to finger tighten them right now because I wasn't prepared and did not have my IFixIt Kit out, but that's okay. Those are secured down. Let me grab my IFixIt Kit. All right, got the IFixIt Kit here, the proper bit. I'm just going to tighten these down here. Just make sure we are good there. And we'll just pop this thing back together. Now this, the way that this goes down, there's these little notched little things up here. And then down here. And then you just kind of slide it over. And then the screw holes should line right up with that. See if we can get this one to cooperate. Which it is not. Alright, looks like I got that popped in there. I had to toy with it just for a second. But we are good to go now. Let's secure that just back down. Overall, guys, if you've never done a hard drive replacement or upgrade, they're actually pretty easy. You can get to them okay. Let's tuck that wire in there. And let's plug this thing back in. Snaps right into place. Make sure that cable's plugged in there. And that is all there is to that, guys. So we will put the cover back on here and close it up. And I've got that one last screw that goes in the back to secure that. And that is it, guys. Simple as that. So we took the old one out and we put the new one in. So I'm going to get started on trying to reinstall Windows on this thing, and we'll go from there. I'll check back in with you here soon. Okay, everyone, and we are basically done. The installation went super smooth. I didn't bother showing you guys any of that. I mean, it went really fast because of the solid state drive, and there's really not a lot to show you there. It's just a Windows install, but it went super smooth. Everything came right up. I've already done the updates on this. I'm having no hiccups at all. As you can see, I've installed a couple applications that my friend will be using. Now, you guys saw the first screenshot of the old drive and the error. Let's run Crystal Disk Info now, and we'll see what we get here. Close that out, give it time, and boom, there we go. It's in 100% good health. Look at that. Power on count is 3. And it says it's been on for about 5 hours, which is about accurate. Just getting everything installed. And prior to that, I had it hooked to my machine just to make sure it worked. Transferred some data back and forth and stuff like that. So, yeah, we've only got 63 gigs of data written to it so far. So we are in good standing here. The only thing that I noticed earlier, looking at system information, this only has, where did it go? 4 gigs of RAM, which is kind of low. But good news is it's a little bit of an older machine. And I think that I actually have some old RAM that I can probably put in this. I'll have to double check. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. But anyway, guys, that is it. Thanks for following along on this fun little journey to upgrade this little machine's hard drive. It started out something, a simple request, just reinstall Windows. But at the end of the day, the hard drive was bad. My friend's going to get a free upgrade here, and he should be able to use this for just the basic stuff he wants to use it for. Anyway, guys, if you liked this, if it was informational, entertaining, go ahead and give me a like and consider subscribing, guys. Thanks.